Ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 presidential race is already a two-horse race between Raila Odinga and William Samoei Ruto. Any other person or any other alliance that is coming, any other person is a latecomer, but I'm ready to be shocked. We have seen each of the two presidential campaigns trying to organize their teams and to put up spirited campaigns traversing the whole country in the search for the voting bloc. Now today, I want us to look at Raila Odinga's campaigns. And you see that Raila Odinga, for this 2022, he actually changed from the traditional campaign strategy where most of his campaigns were managed by either people who are his loyalists from the days of struggling in the trenches and people who are also ODM loyalists. But this time round seems he's putting up a big team that is involving people who are not just experts but also political opinion shapers. That is why you've seen Governors Charity Ngilu, Nderitu Murithi, the Laikipian governor, also coming in the fold to support Raila Odinga's campaign. Actually, Nderitu Murithi, Laikipia governor, is the chairman of his presidential campaign unit. So, just before I analyze this, yesterday, Raila Odinga was in Homa Bay, and he announced telling the residents of Homa Bay that if Nyanza region is not going to turn up in large in their numbers to register as voters, then he has no option but to bolt out of the presidential race. And I've seen really that story has been carried by leading media houses in Kenya trying to talk about the probability of Raila Odinga leading the race. I still want to repeat and say, guys, that voting is our role as Kenyans and it's your right to vote. So really we could still continue to urge Kenyans to come out in their numbers to register. IBC is targeting 4.5 million registered voters. And of course, yesterday I walked in a couple of polling stations here in Dagoretti. I stay in Nairobi, in Dagoretti. And I checked through and I see those clerks are really seated there. Now, I want us to look at 4 blunders that Raila Odinga is committing, and these blunders, William Ruto can capitalize on them to seize the presidency from him. But just before I do that, if you're watching this video for the first time, just check the subscription tab, just click the subscription button, and also click the notification bell so that when YouTube realizes, when we publish a video, YouTube will automatically notify you. I checked and I realized that 27% of our viewers are subscribing, and of course that means that the content is relating with you. And guys, I still continue to say thank you for your support. If it is not you, we could not be at 1,700 subscribers. Back to our discussion. Raila Odinga is banking on governors to replace the regional kingpins. I want to go straight to Kambani. There have been this narrative by, I think, Raila Odinga's supporters and handlers that he doesn't need Kalonzo Musyoka because he's in a position to bring together Alfred Mutua, Kivutha Kibwana, and Charity Ngilu. Even though that narrative really is sinking, but I want to agree with Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Recently, when he was being interviewed by a team from Star, he mentioned that these leaders really are loyal to Kalonzo Musyoka. And some of these leaders, some of them have not delivered in the community. And so even though they can be seen as they have subdued the regional kingpin, but you cannot underestimate the power, the unifying power of Kalonzo Musyoka. Let me ask, I've been going through the comment section here, and some people have been challenging me, telling me that Raila Odinga doesn't have a problem in the larger Ukambani because he has the 3 regions. But the question is, guys, Ukambani has over 3 million voters. Do you think Mutua, Charity Ngilu, and Kivutha Kibwana are going to bring majority of those votes if Kalonzo Musyoka is on ballot as a presidential candidate? Let's go to Western. Do you think Kakamega governor, or Paranya, or Jamong, or Tichilo, and Wangamati, do you think these governors, they will bring the Luhya basket if Musalia Mudavadi is on the ballot as a presidential candidate? If you ask yourself that question critically, then you will realize that this question of banking on the governors to replace the regional kingpins is neither here nor there. For you to see the unison, because again, even if you're doing principles, not all those governors can be principals in a political formation. In Azimio la Umoja, you cannot take all those governors, but I see that's where Raila Odinga brought in Charity Ngilu. But then Charity Ngilu and Kalonzo Musyoka come from the same county. Even though Charity Ngilu is supporting Azimio, but do you think that the Kitui voters will leave Kalonzo Musyoka and follow what Charity Ngilu is saying? My answer is no. And so I believe that is a problem. That is a mistake. And William Ruto can bank on that. Secondly, some of these governors, like Kakamega governor, is not contesting. So by default, he's not that much active in the ground compared to this other William Ruto's, and I've actually analyzed here saying that William Ruto's support base, some of the people who are in UDA are eyeing this gubernatorial position. So these people, they're also seeking their vote. That means they will be active in the politics. So that is blunder number one that Raila Odinga is using. He needs to start going for Kalonzo Musyoka. If it is going to convince Musalia Mudavadi, go and convince Musalia Mudavadi. It's only the coast where you can bank on the governors, because it seems they don't have a coastal kingpin. I don't think. Joho and Kingi are still tussling for that slot, but none is still outstanding to be called as a kingpin. Second blunder that Raila Odinga is doing is regional zoning in calling for 6-piece. 6-piece is voting for president, governor, senator, member of parliament, and women rep, plus the MCA from the same party. And now, if you look at the Azimio la Umoja framework, there is those candidates that are going to vie with Azimio la Umoja as coalition candidates. There are those candidates that will be constituents, because constituents parties will still form Azimio la Umoja. Then they will be allowed to vie with those parties. This is the predicament in that. We are going to have madoadoa at that ballot box. For example, let's take a voter, let's take voter Onyango to a polling station. And voter Onyango is voting in Kiambu. So on presidential ballot, presidential paper, he's supposed to speak Raila on Azimio la Umoja. When he goes to governor, he's going to pick Nyoro on Jubilee ticket. When he goes to senator, he's going to pick maybe a candidate on another ticket that is still a constituent element of Azimio la Umoja. The resultant factor here is this person is going to pick that ballot. Because of that madoadoa, he can be tempted, and there is a high possibility of Onyango going to pick a presidential candidate from UDA. So they are not going to be highly decided. Unlike this, in Nyanza is where Raila Odinga is pushing for 6-piece. And the reason why actually we see that Raila Odinga normally have a strong fan base in Nyanza is because of the 6-piece. When you vote in governor to MCA, these people sing the same tune, and you will be in a position really to make him get it. So he's going to get the momentum post-election, because Raila Odinga is anchoring his campaigns on BBI. And so maybe after elections, if he wins in his government, you expect for him to revive the BBI. Now, the legislative, BBI is more legislative a constitutional process that also is also going to require legislative intervention. With the legislative intervention, you need to have majority both in the county assemblies and in the Senate and National Assembly. If you don't push for 6 Ps, then it means that William Ruto is pushing for 6 Ps might have strength. And so, even Raila Odinga agendas in the National Assembly, in that government, might not succeed. So that's also one of the things. And that is something that William Ruto is using. The other blunder is on trying to ride on Jubilee government's projects. This is what I'm saying. Raila Odinga is on record saying that those projects that have not been started, that the projects that have been started, he's going to lift it from where President Uhuru Kenyatta left it. Yes, that might sound as progressive, but I think I support where he goes back to Grand Coalition and say that some of the things that this government are doing, the projects that are being implemented by this government, are projects that were initiated when he was the Prime Minister. That will sound cool. But then, there are elements, there are voters who have a feeling that Jubilee government is a failure. So when you want to mount your presidential campaign trying to ride on a failure, then it leaves people asking, what are we going to expect? Are we going to expect something new? And so this is something that William Ruto is also using, saying that he's better in a position to drive the Jubilee government agenda. But then I think Raila should drop that to William Ruto, because William Ruto has been in part of that government, so that William Ruto can be judged on what the government has done. But when Raila also says that I want to pick up what Uhuru was doing, then it also means that the failures of Jubilee government will be on him. So for him to relinquish himself from the shortfalls of Jubilee government, Raila Odinga need to drop that narrative of picking up from where President Uhuru Kenyatta left it. I think that's also something that he needs to look at. Now lastly, let us look at the Building Bridges initiative. President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are so committed to bring back the Building Bridges initiative. They really had good intentions to Kenyans, according to them. And of course, that is according to you. You can also ask yourself whether they had good intentions. But I think that one thing that led to popularity of Raila Odinga even depreciating for the last 3 years after handshake was that Building Bridges initiative. While Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta were trying to bring the narrative that this is going to bring prosperity to the country, especially on revenue allocation and the other clauses that were touching on the economy, I think William Ruto, credit be given to him, because he ran away with the narrative that the BBI was about creating positions. Now, the High Court gave Raila a sigh of relief by stopping the reggae. But then, the more Raila continues to talk of the revival of BBI, he's giving Ruto a leeway to perpetuate anti-BBI narrative as we head to general election. As of now, I listened to William Ruto's campaign in West Pokot. That was last Friday. And he was still talking about, is it about supporting these young people, empowering the young people to do business, or it is about creating positions for the regional kingpins? That statement sinks very well, because the truth of the matter is the positions are for individuals, leaders, and not any other person can be a leader. But then the empowerment is for the common man. So that really helps Ruto to still perpetuate the narrative of dynasty versus hustlers. If you ask me, Raila Odinga need to put on hold the BBI issue, because it's going to give Ruto the leeway still to continue running away with it. And some of these things, William Ruto might bank on them and really counter those narratives. So guys, that's my opinion on this, and also you can get us. What do you think? I'm also going to analyze about, I think, William Ruto's blunders. And of course, I expect that in this channel. I don't want to promise when, but I'm also going to talk about it. So you can also get to a comment section and let's just poke holes into Raila Odinga's campaigns. What do you think he's getting right and what do you think he's getting wrong? I still continue to say, let's get out and register. I think in this channel, I will keep on doing it at the tail and the head of every of my analysis. Let's get out and register as voters, because all those decisions, everything that we need, the answer is at the ballot.